It is hard to know just how many times a day we use our hands. Taken for granted for sure from the moment you wake. They are one of the body's most valuable tools, completely forgotten about until they're gone. 5 years ago, February 2006, in Dewey County, Oklahoma, Dr. Rich Edwards pulled up to his lease land to hunt. His SUV, warm from the journey, ignited dry grass around him.
As soon as I turned around, there was fire everywhere, and I mean, it was huge. And before I could turn around here, the fire had already met me. I mean, it was even with me and overcome it. I was burned alive in a coffin from the convection heat. And as soon as I looked over there, I saw that window just explode outwards into a million pieces. At the same time that that window exploded, all the windows around me exploded. Then I don't remember anything after that.
Edwards cannot tell you how he escaped. His only recollection is being carried out, his buddies, all the way across the field in a nearby cabin. Edwards believes angels pulled him to safety.
Some people don't believe in angels, and what a shame, because the Bible says God has angels that He has sent down to protect and take care of each of us.
A medical chopper took over from there and flew Edwards to Integris Baptist Burn Center in Oklahoma City. Third-degree burns on 30% of his body. Doctors told his family he would likely not survive.
We don't know that he'll have much of a face left if he lives through this. He'll most likely be blind because his eyes are burned. We'll have to build a nose back on him, rebuild his lips, and he'll certainly have no hair. If he does, it'll just be spotted.
A week in ICU, 2 months of excruciating burn care therapy, and Dr. Edwards' recovery was remarkable. He can see. He has hair. He wears the scarring of that fire on his face like a badge of courage.
Well, guess what? There's another miracle. God gave it all back to me.
Dr. Edwards' hands have been the devastating exception. 5 surgeries at Duke University Hospital, and they were almost completely useless.
I mean, if you can't do anything with your hands, including unzip your pants, and, put on shoes or put on a shirt, you have to be relying on somebody else. It just absolutely stops your life.
And what exactly is this called?
A Greenland muskox.
Greenland?
A chiropractor and avid hunter just beginning to enjoy his retirement years.
There's some of him and his son.
My brothers.
Oh, those your brothers? Okay.
Dr. Edwards was unwilling to give up the function of his hands. Desperate for a better solution, he applied for a Department of Defense grant and experimental surgery. A double hand transplant.
You're going to need an incision which goes here and here, and then at some point comes across on both sides of these large skin flaps.
For the doctors at Jewish Medical Center in Louisville, Kentucky, the procedure was wrought with controversy. You see, Edwards didn't have prosthetic hands like the patients who had come before him. He had to convince his surgeon to remove his hands, his living tissue. A huge risk, because if Edwards' body rejected those donor hands, he would be left with nothing.
So many of the doctors that he respects in his field, all over the nation, they were giving him calls before they did my surgery and saying, you can't possibly be considering cutting your patient's hands off and giving him a pair of donated hands when he still got hands. I had no fear. My only thoughts were, I can't believe me, God, you've let me get this far. So I figured it was His will, and I had nothing to be scared of.
18 hours in the OR, Edwards' surgeon pioneered a brand new procedure, keeping all of Edwards' native nerves whittled down and fused into the donor hands. The results, historic.
Oh, I'm a blessed man.
Edwards may have been the 3rd patient in the world to undergo a double hand transplant surgery, but he was the first to start moving his fingers moments after the procedure.
Pull the index finger down. Well, that's good and strong. Pull that down. That's good and strong.
It claws like that because he doesn't have these muscles innervated yet. Now straighten him. Straighten him.
6 months since transplant, and Dr. Edwards' hands are making notable progress. We are at Metro Hand Rehab in Edmond.
I'm thinking that tremor might be that you're starting to have some nerve return of some muscles that you didn't have, and so they're flickering.
Where therapist Patty Taylor meets with Edwards several times a week. 2 fingers, the thumb and pinky on his right hand, didn't make it. Blood vessels damaged in the fire were not enough to maintain blood flow. Doctors did a partial amputation. The hands grow stronger every day, though. Rich, motivated in part by the courageous Americans who could benefit from this double hand transplant experiment in the coming years.
People who've been hurt in the Middle East and had explosion injuries, what options do we have besides prostheses? And that's what the whole research that Rich is involved in revolves around.
But I love to feel her skin, and I love to pinch it, squeeze it between my fingers. I just always love to touch her. And I lost that, but now I have it back.
Donor nerves have forged a path to Edwards' native nerves. He is using another man's hands as his own.
Why did I make it to the top? Why did I get such a beautiful, perfect pair of looking hands that my wife even says looks like mine?
Look very close.
For Rich and Cindy Edwards, there are just a few more milestones to reach. They are looking forward to buying a new wedding ring for Rich. His burned up in the fire, maybe wearing a watch again. And most importantly, meeting the family of the donor whose hands now hold another man's wife. Hands that pushed open the door to a world of possibility. Meyer, News Channel 4 HD.